I never thought I'd be the father who wasn't welcome at his own daughter's wedding. But there I was, standing at the entrance of the Rosewood Gardens venue, facing a polite but immovable security guard with a clipboard in his hands. "I'm sorry, sir. Your name isn't on the list." The guard glanced down at his clipboard again, as if my name might magically appear between the lines. "There must be some mistake," I said, my voice steady despite the knot forming in my stomach. "I'm David Carter. Emily Carter is my daughter, the bride." The guard's expression shifted from professional politeness to uncomfortable recognition. "Mr. Carter, I've been specifically instructed about this situation. I'm very sorry." In that moment, everything clicked. This wasn't an oversight. This wasn't a clerical error. This was deliberate. I straightened my tie, nodded once to the guard, and turned back toward my car. I could feel eyes on me, probably guests who recognized me, wondering why Emily's father was walking away from her big day. Let them wonder. I wasn't going to make a scene. Not yet. As I reached my car, a waiter hurried past me carrying a tray of champagne flutes. He nearly bumped into me, then did a double take. "Mr. Carter, aren't you going inside, sir?" He was young, probably a college student working weekend events. "Apparently not," I replied, keeping my expression neutral. The waiter looked confused. "But I just served your ex-wife. She was telling everyone how you backed out last minute because you couldn't handle seeing your daughter marry someone from a less wealthy family." My hand froze on the car door. "She said what?" "I'm sorry, sir. I shouldn't have repeated that." He looked mortified. "No," I said, my voice suddenly cold. "I'm glad you did." So that was the story Linda was spinning, that I was too elitist, too shallow to attend. The irony was almost laughable. Christopher came from a perfectly respectable middle-class family. I'd never once expressed any concern about his background. In fact, I respected him for making his own way without family connections. Behind me, I could hear the string quartet playing Bach. The white tent gleamed in the June sunshine. Everything looked perfect, exactly as it should for a $175,000 wedding. A wedding I had paid for, right down to the hand-calligraphed place cards that apparently didn't include my name. I stood there, torn between walking away with dignity and storming inside to confront Linda. A nearby guest, an older man I recognized as Christopher's uncle, approached me hesitantly. David Carter, I thought that was you." He extended his hand. "Robert Miller. We met at the engagement party." I shook his hand automatically. "Robert, good to see you." He glanced toward the venue, then back at me. "Bit awkward, I suppose, standing out here." "More than a bit," I admitted. "Apparently, I'm not on the guest list." Robert's eyebrows shot up. "That can't be right. You're the bride's father. Tell that to the security guard." Robert frowned. "This doesn't make sense. Christopher speaks very highly of you. He told me just last week how grateful he was for your support, both financial and otherwise." That caught me by surprise. Christopher and I had always gotten along well, but I hadn't realized he'd spoken about me to his family. "Did he mention anything about me not attending the wedding?" I asked carefully. "Quite the opposite," Robert replied. "He said he was looking forward to your toast. Said you'd been a better father figure to him than his own dad in some ways." That hit me hard. While I'd been standing out here feeling rejected, my future son-in-law had apparently been expecting me to deliver a toast. "Something's not right," I said, more to myself than to Robert. "Clearly," he agreed. "Look, why don't I go have a word with Christopher? Get to the bottom of this." "I'd appreciate that," I said, "but don't make a scene. It's their day, after all." Robert nodded and headed back toward the venue. I leaned against my car, waiting. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Robert. Got Christopher's number for you. He had no idea you weren't on the list. Says to call him ASAP." I dialed immediately. Christopher answered on the first ring, his voice hushed and concerned. "David, what's going on? Uncle Robert says you're outside." "I'm not on the guest list, Christopher." The security guard turned me away. "Ah." There was a moment of stunned silence, then Christopher's voice tight with anger. "That's impossible. I personally reviewed the final list yesterday. Your name was definitely on it." "Well, it's not there now." "This has to be Linda's doing," he said, his voice dropping even lower. "She's been acting strange all morning. giving the wedding planner last-minute changes. Emily has no idea. She thinks you're just running late. My jaw tightened. So my daughter doesn't even know I've been barred from her wedding? No, Christopher confirmed, and she'd be devastated if she found out. Look, I'm going to fix this right now. Give me 5 minutes. Don't upset Emily, I cautioned. Today is supposed to be perfect for her. It can't be perfect without her father, Christopher replied firmly. Wait there. I hung up, a strange mix of emotions churning inside me. Anger at Linda, certainly, but also a newfound respect for Christopher. He was standing up for me, even against his new mother-in-law, on his wedding day. That took courage. But 5 minutes passed, then 10. No Christopher. Instead, my phone rang again. It was Robert. Linda intercepted him, he explained, sounding disgusted. She made a scene, said if Christopher went against her wishes today of all days, he'd be starting the marriage with a betrayal of Emily's trust. She claimed Emily had specifically requested you not be allowed in. And Christopher believed that. No, but he's in an impossible position. He tried to find Emily to confirm, but Linda has her sequestered, claiming some last-minute dress emergency. The ceremony starts in 20 minutes. I closed my eyes, processing this. Linda had orchestrated the whole thing perfectly. She'd removed my name from the guest list without Emily's knowledge, spread lies about why I wasn't there, and now was physically preventing any clarification of the truth. I understand, I told Robert. Thank you for trying. What will you do now? I took a deep breath. Go home. This is Emily's day. I won't ruin it with a confrontation, which is exactly what Linda wants. There will be time enough for truth later. The drive home was a blur. 25 years of memories competed for attention in my mind. Emily's first steps across our living room floor, teaching her to ride a bike in the driveway. Her high school graduation, where she'd hug me tight and whispered, I couldn't have done this without you, Dad. College tuition checks, the down payment on her first apartment, the trust fund I'd established when she was born, carefully managed and grown over decades. And now this. My house felt emptier than usual when I returned. Linda had taken most of the furniture when we divorced 8 years ago, but I'd never bothered to fully refurnish. What was the point? The echoing spaces suited me fine. I loosened my tie and headed straight for my office. The safe was hidden behind a mediocre landscape painting, a security cliché but effective nonetheless. I spun the dial with practiced precision and swung the heavy door open. Inside were the documents that told the real story of my relationship with my daughter. Trust fund statements, receipts for her education, the deed to her apartment, and most recently, all the invoices for this elaborate wedding that I apparently wasn't good enough to attend. I spread them across my desk, a paper trail of parental devotion expressed in dollar signs and cents. The wedding venue alone had cost $42,000. The dress was $11,500 from some designer in New York. Catering came in at $36,000 for 150 guests. Flowers, photography, the band, all of it adding up to nearly $200,000 when all was said and done. Money I had been happy to spend because it was for Emily. Among the papers was a photo of Emily and me from her college graduation day. We were both smiling broadly, my arm around her shoulders. That had been just 4 years ago. How had things changed so drastically? What poisonous whispers had Linda been feeding our daughter? My phone rang. It was Michael Wilson, my attorney and one of my oldest friends. David, where are you? I just got to the wedding and they said you're not here. I'm not on the guest list, Michael, I said flatly. What? That's ridiculous. You paid for the whole damn thing. Tell that to Linda. She's made sure I can't get in. Apparently told Emily I chose not to come. Michael's voice lowered to a growl. That vindictive witch. What are you going to do? My hand hovered over my phone for just a moment before I made the decision. Michael, I need you to do something for me right away. Name it. I need you to freeze all payments from Emily's trust fund immediately. There was a pause on the other end of the line. David, that's a serious move. Are you sure you want to? She didn't invite me to the wedding, Michael. The words hung in the air between us. Her own father. Not only that, she actively had me barred from attending. Jesus, Michael muttered. But still, this is a nuclear option. Maybe there's been some misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, I cut in, is that she seems to have forgotten who's been financing her entire life. Every comfort, every opportunity, every advantage, including this wedding. She's forgotten, and I think it's time for a reminder. This won't be simple to undo, David. The terms of the trust, I'm aware of the terms. I created them. Just do it. After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long moment. The house around me felt like a mausoleum, a monument to a family that no longer existed. I wondered idly if Linda had been behind this from the start. My ex-wife had spent years poisoning Emily against me after the divorce, spinning tales about business deals gone wrong and moral compromises made. Most of it exaggerated, some of it outright lies. But Emily was 28 years old now, an adult capable of making her own decisions, and she had made this one. I reached for the bourbon on my credenza but stopped myself. I needed a clear head for what was coming next. Instead, I changed out of my wedding suit and into jeans and a casual button-down. I gathered all the wedding receipts and trust fund documents, sliding them into a leather portfolio. Then I got back in my car and headed toward Rosewood Gardens once more. This time I didn't approach the main entrance. I knew the layout of the venue. I'd toured it with Emily and her fiancé Christopher months ago. There was a service entrance on the east side, usually used by catering staff. I slipped in unnoticed. The wedding reception was in full swing now. Under the enormous white tent, Emily was dancing with Christopher. She looked radiant in her designer gown, her face glowing with happiness. Christopher looked handsome in his tuxedo, spinning her around the dance floor as guests applauded. I stood in the shadows watching. Christopher Miller was a decent enough guy, a financial analyst with good prospects but not much family money. I'd never had any issue with him. In fact, I'd told Emily I thought he was a good match for her. Across the tent, I spotted Linda holding court with a group of her friends. At 53, she still turned heads with her carefully maintained beauty, all of it paid for with my money during our marriage. Plastic surgery, designer clothes, jewelry. She was laughing, champagne glass in hand, clearly enjoying being the mother of the bride. Next to her stood Frank Miller, husband number 2. He was a decent guy who'd never done me any harm. But seeing him in the role that should have been mine, the proud father figure at my daughter's wedding, made my blood boil. The first person to notice me was the wedding photographer, a nervous young woman with 3 cameras hanging from her neck. "Excuse me, sir, are you with the venue?" she asked, clearly trying to figure out why someone in casual clothes was lurking at the edge of this upscale wedding. "No," I replied calmly. "I'm the father of the bride." Her eyes widened. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. During the ceremony, there was someone else who walked her down the aisle." I finished for her. "Yes, I imagine there was." Her stepfather, probably. Frank Miller. Linda's husband number 2. The photographer was clearly uncomfortable now. "I should get back to. There are toasts happening soon." She scurried away, but the damage was done. A ripple of awareness began to spread through the reception. Heads turned in my direction. Whispers started. I saw Linda across the tent, her face draining of color when she spotted me. I didn't make a scene. I didn't raise my voice. I simply walked toward the center of the reception, the leather portfolio tucked under my arm. Emily saw me when I was about halfway there. She froze mid-laugh, her champagne glass halting halfway to her lips. Christopher noticed her expression and followed her gaze, confusion spreading across his features when he saw me. "Dad," Emily's voice carried across the suddenly quieting tent. "What are you doing here?" I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "I thought I should stop by, considering I paid for all of this." Linda was moving toward us now, her face a mask of forced composure. "David, this is completely inappropriate. You need to leave." "Inappropriate," I echoed, my voice perfectly controlled. "What's inappropriate is excluding the person who financed this entire event. What's inappropriate is having your father escorted away from your wedding like some unwanted intruder." The tent had fallen completely silent now. The band had stopped playing. Every guest was watching our family drama unfold in real time. Emily's cheeks had flushed deep red. "Mom said you chose not to come, that you couldn't accept Christopher because his family isn't wealthy enough." I looked directly at Emily. "And you believe that? After everything I've done for you? After I told you repeatedly how much I like Christopher?" Christopher stepped forward, putting a protective arm around Emily. Mr. Carter, there seems to be some kind of misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I cut in. Your Uncle Robert can confirm I was turned away at the entrance. My name was removed from the guest list. Ask the security guard if you don't believe me. Emily turned to Linda, confusion in her eyes. Mom, what is he talking about? Linda's composure slipped for just a moment, panic flashing across her features before she regained control. He's trying to ruin your day, Emily. Just like he ruins everything. He probably changed his mind about coming, and now he's creating this drama to cover for it. That's not true, a voice called from the crowd. It was Robert, Christopher's uncle, stepping forward. I saw him being turned away. The guard specifically said he wasn't on the list. Murmurs rippled through the guests. Emily's eyes darted between her mother and me, uncertainty written across her face. Why would you do that, Mom? She asked, her voice small. I didn't, Linda insisted. This is another one of your father's manipulations. He's always been jealous of our relationship. He can't stand not being the center of attention. I remained calm, which only seemed to rattle Linda more. I opened the portfolio and laid out the documents on the nearest table, right next to the elaborate 5-tier wedding cake that had cost $3,200. What's all this? Christopher asked, stepping forward. This, I said, gesturing to the papers, is the financial reality behind today's fairy tale. Every receipt, every invoice, all paid by me. Emily's face crumpled. Dad, please don't do this here. And this, I continued, pulling out the trust fund documents, is the notice that as of 1 hour ago, your trust fund has been frozen. Completely. A collective gasp rippled through the tent. Linda stepped forward, her face twisted with anger. You can't do that, she hissed. That money is Emily's. Actually, I can, and I have. I placed the documents directly on top of the wedding cake table. The terms of the trust are quite clear. I maintain control until Emily turns 35. That's another 7 years. Christopher put his arm around Emily, who looked like she might collapse. Mr. Carter, surely we can discuss this privately, as a family. We're no longer a family, I said simply. That much was made clear to me today. I looked directly at Emily then. The little girl I had raised, the young woman I had supported through every stage of her life, the daughter who had decided I wasn't worthy of witnessing her marriage. Your apartment lease renewal is due next month, I said quietly. The payment won't be coming from the trust. Neither will your car payment, your credit card bills, or any of the other expenses I've been covering. You're on your own now. Linda lunged forward suddenly, her voice shrill with panic. You vindictive bastard! You can't do this to her. I'm not doing anything to her, I replied calmly. I'm simply stopping doing things for her. There's a difference. Linda turned to the stunned guests, her composure completely gone now. This is exactly why I didn't want him here. This controlling, manipulative behavior. He's always used money as a weapon. An older woman I recognized as Linda's sister stepped forward. Linda, calm down. You're making a scene. A scene? Linda's laugh was nearly hysterical. He's the one making a scene, coming here uninvited, threatening our daughter financially on her wedding day. I remained calm, which only seemed to infuriate Linda more. If anyone's been manipulative, Linda, it's you. How many lies have you told Emily about me over the years? How many half-truths and distortions? Linda's face contorted with rage. You don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve to be in Emily's life at all. That's not your decision to make, I said quietly. It's Emily's, and she made her choice. Emily was crying openly now, mascara streaming down her cheeks. Dad, you can't just cut me off completely. I don't understand why you're doing this. Don't you? I asked. Think about it, Emily. You might figure it out. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, chaos erupted. I could hear Linda's shrill voice, Christopher trying to calm everyone down, and Emily's sobs. The perfect wedding was unraveling, but I didn't look back. In the parking lot, I paused by my car and took a deep breath of the summer evening air. There was no satisfaction in what I'd just done, only a hollow ache where my relationship with my daughter used to be. But as I drove away from Rosewood Gardens, I felt something else too, a sense of liberation. For too long, I tried to buy Emily's love, to compensate for whatever lies Linda had told her about me. That ended today. Back at home, I poured myself that bourbon I'd denied earlier. Just one, neat. I sat in my half-empty living room and looked at the photographs on the mantle. Emily through the years, from toddlerhood to college graduation, happy moments captured in time. My phone started buzzing incessantly. Calls from Linda, from Emily, from Michael, even from Christopher. I silenced it and set it aside. Tomorrow would be soon enough to deal with the fallout. For now, I had planning to do. A new life to envision, one that didn't revolve around financing Emily's lifestyle or trying to win back her affection. It was time to focus on myself for a change. I opened my laptop and began researching. Travel destinations, investment opportunities, charitable foundations I might support. The future stretched before me, suddenly full of possibilities I hadn't considered in years. Around midnight, I finally checked my messages. Among the angry voicemails and texts was one from an unexpected source. Emily's older cousin Rachel, my sister Susan's daughter. Uncle David, her message read, I saw what happened at the wedding. There's more to this story than you know. Can we meet tomorrow? There are things you need to hear. I stared at the message for a long moment. Rachel had always been close with Emily, but they'd drifted apart in recent years. What could she possibly have to tell me? Curiosity won out. I texted back, my house, 10 a.m. Sleep eluded me that night. I kept replaying the scene at the wedding, the look of shock on Emily's face, the whispers of the guests. Had I gone too far? Or not far enough? When Rachel arrived the next morning, she looked nervous. She'd always been the sensible one of the younger generation, practical and straightforward, unlike her more dramatic cousin. Thanks for seeing me, she said as I handed her a cup of coffee in the kitchen. I wasn't sure you'd want to talk to anyone from the family right now. You're the only one who reached out with anything other than accusations, I pointed out. Rachel nodded, cradling her mug. What happened yesterday? It wasn't right what they did to you, but there's context you're missing. I'm listening. Last year, when Emily and Christopher got engaged, Linda told her something about you. Something she claimed was the real reason for your divorce. I felt a chill despite the warm June morning. What exactly did she say? She told Emily that you had an affair with her best friend Jessica back when Emily was in high school, that you'd been secretly sending Jessica money for years afterward, and that's why you sometimes had financial problems. She said you drained joint accounts to keep Jessica quiet. I nearly dropped my coffee mug. That's absolutely false, all of it. I figured, Rachel said with a grim smile, but Emily believed it. Linda had fake bank statements, emails, everything. Very convincing forgeries, apparently. Jesus Christ, I muttered. Jessica Thomas, Emily's friend from swim team. She must be. What, Emily's age? I barely knew her. I know, it's ridiculous, but Emily was devastated. She'd always idolized you, and this hit her hard. Linda convinced her that the only reason you paid for her education, her apartment, this wedding, all of it was out of guilt. The pieces were finally falling into place. The growing distance over the past year, the stilted phone calls, Emily's reluctance to include me in wedding planning beyond writing checks. Why are you telling me this, Rachel? She met my eyes directly. Because Emily's my cousin and I love her. And I can see this rift destroying both of you. Linda's been manipulating her for years, but this is a new low. Does Christopher know about these accusations? Yes. He wasn't sure what to believe, but he deferred to Emily's wishes about the wedding. He's caught in the middle. I pushed my coffee aside, anger burning through me. How do I prove these allegations are false? Bank statements can be checked, records verified? That's just it, Rachel interrupted. Linda knows you can disprove the financial claims eventually, but the damage to your relationship with Emily is already done, and that's what she wanted all along. The truth of Rachel's words hit me hard. Linda had orchestrated the perfect revenge. She'd poisoned our daughter against me using elaborate lies, culminating in my exclusion from one of the most important days of Emily's life. And my reaction? I'd played right into Linda's hands by retaliating financially, confirming every terrible thing she'd said about me being controlling with money. I need to talk to Emily, I said, reaching for my phone. Rachel put her hand on my arm. Not yet. She's still reeling from yesterday. You both need time to cool off. She hesitated, then added, There's something else you should know. Jessica Thomas is back in town. She moved back from California last month. My mind raced. Do you have her contact information? Better than that, Rachel said, pulling out her phone. I have evidence. Jessica was horrified when I told her about Linda's accusations. She sent me these. She showed me a series of text messages between her and Jessica, expressing shock at being named in Linda's fabricated affair story. There were also time-stamped photos from the years when the affair supposedly took place. Jessica clearly across the country at college, not engaged in any secret relationship with me. This helped, I said, but it's still her word against Linda's. And Linda has had Emily's ear for years. Rachel nodded. That's why Jessica suggested something else. A meeting. You, Emily, Jessica, and witnesses, including me. Get everything out in the open. The idea had merit, but I wasn't convinced Emily would agree to it. Not yet. There's something else, Rachel said hesitantly. Something that might explain why Linda has escalated her campaign against you recently. What's that? She's in financial trouble. Serious trouble. Frank's business has been struggling for years, and Linda's been hiding it from everyone. They remortgaged their house twice, maxed out credit cards. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. This was news to me. How do you know this? My husband works at the bank where they have their accounts. He can't give me details, of course, but he's mentioned their financial distress. Suddenly, a new possibility occurred to me. Has Linda been asking Emily for money? Money from the trust fund? Rachel's expression confirmed my suspicion. Emily mentioned something about helping her mom with a temporary cash flow problem a few months ago. I didn't think much of it at the time. How much? I don't know exactly, but substantial from what Emily implied. The picture was becoming clearer now. Linda hadn't just been poisoning Emily against me out of spite or bitterness. She'd been setting the stage to access the trust fund money through our daughter. My exclusion from the wedding wasn't just emotional cruelty. It was a strategic move to keep me from potentially interfering with her financial plans. I need to see the trust fund disbursements, I said, reaching for my phone to call Michael again. Every penny that's gone out in the last year. Rachel stood up. I should go. I've already said more than I probably should. Just be careful how you approach this with Emily. Linda's had her ear for years. If you come at her with accusations about her mother, she might shut down completely. After Rachel left, I spent hours on the phone with Michael, reviewing every transaction from Emily's trust fund over the past 18 months. What we found was alarming. Regular transfers, ostensibly for Emily's apartment, car, and living expenses, but significantly larger than they should have been. And most troubling, 3 large lump sum withdrawals totaling over $300,000. These would have required Emily's signature, Michael pointed out. Unless someone forged it, I replied grimly. Send me copies of those authorization forms. When the documents arrived by email, I studied Emily's signatures carefully. They looked authentic, but something felt off. I pulled out older documents with Emily's signature for comparison. The difference was subtle, but unmistakable to a father who had watched his daughter's handwriting evolve from childhood. I called Rachel back. I need to speak with Jessica, today if possible. 2 hours later, Jessica Thomas sat in my living room. She was a poised young woman now, not the teenager I vaguely remembered from Emily's high school days. She looked nervous but determined. Mr. Carter, I want you to know I had no idea what Linda was saying about us until Rachel told me yesterday. It's absolutely disgusting. I appreciate you coming forward, Jessica. This can't be comfortable for you. It's not, she admitted, but I can't let her use me in her lies. Emily was my friend, and what Linda's doing is hurting both of you. Jessica showed me more evidence. Her college transcripts confirming she was across the country during the time Linda claimed we were having an affair, old social media posts, even credit card statements showing her locations. I want to help clear this up, she said firmly. I'll meet with Emily. Tell her the truth. Whatever it takes. My phone rang. It was Michael again. David, you need to see this. I've been digging into those large withdrawals from the trust. The money was transferred to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. I've traced it to a shell company called Linda Vista Holdings. The name couldn't have been more obvious. Linda hadn't just been manipulating Emily emotionally, she'd been systematically stealing from her, using our daughter as an unwitting accomplice. Can we prove this? I asked. It'll take time, but yes. I've already contacted a forensic accountant. The paper trail isn't as hidden as she probably thinks. I thanked Michael and hung up, my mind racing. This wasn't just about a wedding snub anymore. This was fraud, possibly identity theft if Linda had forged Emily's signatures. But exposing it all would devastate Emily. She'd not only learned that her mother had been lying about me for years, but that she'd been stealing from her as well. Jessica watched me with concern. What are you going to do? I'm going to protect my daughter, I said firmly, even if it means protecting her from the truth about her mother, at least temporarily. I spent the rest of the day formulating a plan. By evening, I was ready to make my next move. I called Emily. Dad, her voice sounded small, wary. I didn't think you'd want to talk to me. You're my daughter, Emily. That doesn't change because of one day. She was silent for a moment. About the trust fund. I need to see you, I interrupted. There are things we should discuss face to face. Not about the wedding, not about the trust fund. Something else entirely. What things? I'd rather not get into it over the phone. Can you come to the house tomorrow? Alone, please. No Christopher, no Linda. She hesitated. Is this some kind of trap? The question stung, but I kept my voice level. No, Emily. This is me trying to protect you. Please just come. After another long pause, she agreed. Tomorrow at noon. I spent the night organizing documents, preparing what I would and wouldn't reveal. When Emily arrived the next day, she looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes, her usual polished appearance slightly disheveled. You look terrible, I said, unable to help myself. A ghost of a smile flickered across her face. Thanks, Dad. Always the charmer. I led her into my office, where I'd arranged key documents on the desk. Not everything. I was being selective about what she needed to know right now. I've unfrozen the trust fund, I said without preamble. Her eyes widened in surprise. Oh, why? Because freezing it was a reaction made in anger and hurt. It was wrong of me. Thank you, she said quietly, then added, but you didn't need to see me in person just to tell me that. No, I didn't. I took a deep breath. Emily, I need to ask you about these. I slid the trust fund disbursement records across the desk. Specifically, these 3 large withdrawals. She glanced at the papers, then looked away. What about them? Did you authorize them? Yes, she said, but wouldn't meet my eyes. Emily, look at me. When she reluctantly did, I asked, what was the money for? She hesitated, then her words came in a rush. Mom needed it. Frank's business has been struggling, and they were going to lose the house. She said it was just a loan, that she'd pay it back once things stabilized. Did you sign these authorization forms? I pushed the documents toward her. She glanced at them and nodded. Yes. Are you sure? I held her gaze steadily. Look at the signatures more carefully. Emily looked down at the forms again, this time examining the signatures more closely. A flicker of confusion crossed her face. I don't remember signing these specific forms, but I must have. The signatures look like mine. They look like yours, I agreed, but they're not. They're forgeries, Emily. Very good ones, but forgeries nonetheless. That's impossible, she protested. Mom would never… Emily, I cut in gently. I need you to listen very carefully. Your mother has been lying to you, not just about me, but about many things. The money from these withdrawals didn't go to save their house. It went to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands, registered to a company called Linda Vista Holdings. Emily's face went pale. No, that can't be right. I have the banking record, I said, sliding another document across to her. Michael traced the transfers. She stared at the papers, her hands beginning to tremble. Why would she do this? I took a deep breath. This was the moment to be careful. I could destroy Emily's relationship with her mother in an instant, but that wasn't my goal. People do desperate things when they're in financial trouble, I said carefully. Your mother and Frank have been struggling for years, worse than you know. Emily looked up, tears forming in her eyes. So she stole from me, used me. It appears that way, yes. And all the things she told me about you, the affair with Jessica, the drained accounts, all lies, I confirmed. Jessica is back in town. She's willing to meet with you, show you evidence that what your mother claimed was impossible. She was in college across the country during the time your mother claimed we were having an affair. Emily put her head in her hands. God, I'm such an idiot. I believed everything she told me. I let her convince me to exclude my own father from my wedding. I moved around the desk and put my hand on her shoulder. You're not an idiot, Emily. You trusted your mother, as any daughter would. She abused that trust. Emily looked up at me, her eyes swimming with tears. What happens now? Are you going to have her arrested? The question hung in the air between us. I had considered it. The evidence was substantial, and what Linda had done was clearly criminal. But that wasn't the outcome I wanted. That depends partly on you, I said, and partly on what she does next. What do you mean? I want the money returned to your trust fund, of course. Every penny she took. But more importantly, I want you to know the truth about everything. No more lies, no more manipulation. Emily wiped her eyes. I don't know if I can face her after this, knowing what she did. You don't have to. Not right away. Take some time. Process everything. Talk to Jessica. Look at the evidence yourself. She nodded slowly. I feel like my whole world is falling apart. Not falling apart, I corrected. Being rebuilt on truth instead of lies. Emily stayed for hours. We talked through everything. The divorce, the years after, the gradual poisoning of our relationship. I showed her more documents, more evidence of Linda's deceptions. By the time she left, she was emotionally exhausted but clearer about what had really happened. I need to talk to Christopher, she said as I walked her to the door. He needs to know all of this too. Of course, I agreed. And Emily, whatever happens with your mother, know that I'm here for you. That never changed, even when you shut me out. She hugged me then, fiercely like she used to when she was little. I'm so sorry, Dad. I can't believe I let her do this to us. It's not your fault, I assured her. We're going to fix this. Together. After Emily left, I called Michael. We need to move fast. Linda will realize something's up as soon as Emily talks to Christopher. What's the play here, David? I want everything ready. All the evidence, all the legal options. But we hold off on any action until I give the word. I want to see what Linda does when she realizes she's been caught. I didn't have to wait long. The next morning, my doorbell rang insistently at 7 a.m. When I opened it, Linda stood there, her face contorted with rage. You son of a bitch, she spat. What have you told Emily? The truth, I replied calmly. Something you should try sometime. She tried to push past me into the house, but I blocked her way. You're not welcome here, Linda. You've turned my daughter against me, filled her head with lies. Interesting accusation coming from you, I noted. Would you like to discuss Linda Vista Holdings? Or the $300,000 you stole from our daughter's trust fund? The color drained from her face. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. And so does Emily now. And soon, so will the authorities, unless you make this right. Linda's composure cracked. It wasn't stealing. I needed that money. Frank's business was failing. We were drowning in debt. So you committed fraud and identity theft, using our daughter as your victim. I was going to pay it back, she insisted, but her voice wavered. With what money, Linda? Your offshore account is already nearly empty. You've spent almost all of it. Her eyes widened in shock. How do you know that? I have resources you can't imagine, I said coldly. I know exactly where the money went. The house in Barbados you put a down payment on, the luxury car leases, the shopping sprees. What are you going to do? Fear had replaced anger in her voice now. That depends on you. Return every cent you took from Emily. Confess what you've done, the financial fraud and the lies about me, and I might consider not pressing charges. I can't return it, she whispered. It's gone. Most of it, anyway. Then you'd better find a way to make restitution. Sell your house, liquidate your assets, whatever it takes. And if I can't, then you'll face the consequences. Fraud, Identity theft. Those aren't minor charges, Linda. She stared at me, calculation replacing fear in her eyes. Emily won't let you do this to me. I'm her mother. Emily knows everything, I reminded her. She's seen the evidence. The forged signatures, the bank transfers, the fake evidence you manufactured about Jessica and me. Linda's face hardened. This isn't over. Actually, it is. You have 48 hours to come up with a repayment plan and a full confession to Emily. After that, Michael files charges. I closed the door on her protests, my heart pounding, but my resolve firm. The next day, Emily called, her voice tense. Dad, something weird is happening. Mom's selling everything. Her jewelry, her designer clothes, even her car. She told Frank it was for a business opportunity, but he doesn't believe her. Has she spoken to you? I asked. She keeps calling, but I'm not ready to talk to her yet. Emily paused. Jessica came over last night. She showed me all her evidence. There's no way what Mom said about you two could be true. I'm sorry you're going through this, Emily. Don't be sorry. I'm the one who should be apologizing. I believed her lies for so long. Just before the 48-hour deadline expired, Linda showed up at my house again. This time she wasn't angry. She looked broken, her carefully maintained appearance showing cracks, smudged makeup, hair not perfectly styled. I can't get all the money back, she said without preamble. I've sold what I could. I have about $120,000. That's it. That's not even half of what you took. It's all I have, she insisted. Frank found out what I did. He's filing for divorce. The house was in his name. I can't sell it. I studied her face looking for manipulation, but saw only desperation. You'll need to sign a legally binding agreement to repay the rest over time. And you'll need to tell Emily the truth, all of it. I can't admit I lied about you and Jessica, she said, her voice barely audible. She'll never forgive me. That's the price of what you've done, Linda. Full confession or legal consequences. Your choice. She left with Michael's business card, promising to come to his office the next day to sign the repayment agreement. I wasn't sure she'd follow through. To my surprise, she did. Michael called to confirm she'd signed everything and transferred the initial $120,000 back to Emily's trust. She'd also agreed to monthly payments of $3,000 until the debt was fully repaid, which would take over 5 years. Did she agree to confess to Emily? I asked. She did, Michael confirmed, though she seemed more terrified of that than the legal documents. The meeting between Linda and Emily took place at Michael's office, with both Michael and me present as witnesses. Linda's confession was halting, filled with excuses and attempts to minimize what she'd done, but eventually the truth came out, both about the stolen money and about the fabricated affair story. Emily sat in silence throughout, her face a mask of controlled emotion. When Linda finished, Emily asked just one question. Why? Why did you do all this? Linda seemed genuinely bewildered by the question. I needed the money, and I needed you to choose me over him. So you decided to destroy my relationship with Dad, to steal from me, to lie about someone I considered a friend? Linda had no answer for that. Emily stood up and walked out without another word. In the weeks that followed, Linda's carefully constructed life collapsed completely. Frank filed for divorce, citing her financial fraud as grounds. The expensive house was sold, with Frank taking his share and moving to Arizona to start over. Linda's social circle, once so important to her, evaporated when rumors of her actions spread. Emily and Christopher postponed their honeymoon, using the money instead as a down payment on a modest house, one purchased without any help from either of their parents. Emily found a job with a marketing firm, determined to make her own way without relying on the trust fund. I want to be independent, she told me over dinner one night. I've been thinking about this a lot. The trust fund will still be there when I'm 35, but until then, I want to build something on my own. I couldn't have been prouder. That's a mature decision. I learned it from you, Dad, watching you rebuild after the divorce, never complaining, just moving forward. 6 months after the wedding, I received a surprising call from Michael. David, you need to see this. He forwarded me a news article from a local paper in Barbados. Linda had been arrested for attempting to sell the partially built house there, a house she didn't fully own, as she'd only made the down payment. She's facing fraud charges in Barbados now, Michael explained. They take that sort of thing very seriously there. She could be looking at actual jail time. I shared the news with Emily, who took it with surprising equanimity. I feel sorry for her, in a way, she said. She's destroyed everything she had, and for what? Money she couldn't keep, respect she didn't deserve. Linda was eventually sentenced to 18 months in a Barbadian prison. When she returned to the States, she was a shadow of her former self. She found work as a cashier at a grocery store, living in a small apartment on the outskirts of town. Her carefully maintained beauty faded quickly without the expensive treatments she could no longer afford. Occasionally, she would try to contact Emily, sending pleading texts and emails. Emily maintained strict boundaries, allowing only limited supervised contact. There would be no reconciliation, at least not anytime soon. As for me, I kept my promise to myself. I refurnished my house, not with Linda's expensive tastes, but with pieces I actually liked. I started dating again, eventually meeting Catherine, a widow with grown children of her own, who understood the complexities of family relationships. Emily and I rebuilt our relationship slowly. Sunday dinners became a tradition. She and Christopher welcomed their first child, a daughter they named Sarah, the following year. I established a college fund for my granddaughter, one structured so that neither Emily nor Linda could access it for any other purpose. One evening, as Emily and I sat on my back porch watching Christopher play with little Sarah on the lawn, she turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know what the worst part was?" "EOI," she asked quietly. "Not the money she stole, not even the lies she told. It was that she robbed us of years we could have had together. Years I can never get back." "We have now," I reminded her, "and all the years ahead. Because you didn't give up on me," she said, "even when I gave you every reason to." I smiled at my daughter, feeling a peace I hadn't known in years. That's what real love is, Emily. Not the kind you can buy with trust funds or designer weddings, the kind that stays even when it's tested. In my office, I'd replaced the mediocre landscape painting that once hid my safe with a family portrait. Emily, Christopher, baby Sarah, and me. The safe behind it still held the trust fund documents, but they weren't the focus of my life anymore. Instead, I had a new folder on my desk. Investment plans for my own future. Travel destinations I'd always wanted to visit. Charitable foundations I wanted to support. A life beyond the shadows of the past. And as for Linda, last I heard, she was still working at that grocery store, telling anyone who would listen that I had engineered her downfall out of spite. Few believed her. The truth has a way of coming out. She lives alone now, her beauty faded, her social status gone, her relationship with her daughter permanently damaged. Sometimes I see her around town, looking older than her years, the weight of her actions etched into her face. I don't feel satisfaction when I see her. Only a vague sadness for what might have been if she'd chosen a different path. But that was her choice, not mine. My choice was to move forward, to build something new from the ashes of what was destroyed, to focus not on revenge, but on rebuilding what matters most. My relationship with my daughter, my own sense of purpose, my future. And in the end, that's the best revenge of all. Living well, while those who sought to destroy you are left with nothing but the empty shell of the life they once had.